In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front calipers on this Honda Accord. Located right behind your front wheels, so let's get started. Let's remove the wheel. Use a 19mm socket, remove all 5 lug nuts, and then pull the wheel off. Sometimes the wheels are stuck, so give them a couple taps. From the back side of the caliper with a bucket underneath so it can catch the fluid. Use a 14mm socket or wrench, break free the banjo bolt, and then snug it back up a little bit so fluid doesn't drip, but this will make it easier for it to be removed once the caliper comes off completely. With a 17mm socket, remove this bolt here and this one at the top that hold the caliper and bracket onto the knuckle. We're going to remove these as an assembly. Leave this one on a couple threads while you remove the top one so it can hold it on. Okay, take this off. I'm going to set it up on top of the rotor. I don't want to put any pressure on the brake hose. Before we install the new caliper, it's important to add a little bit of grease or silicone paste that is rated for high temperatures right on this area where the anti-rattle clips are going to sit. You don't need a lot or it'll squeeze out and get on the rotor. You just need to coat it so it prevents rust from building up, and if rust builds up, it'll actually squeeze the anti-rattle clips out, swell them, and it'll seize the pads in place. Now take that new anti-rattle clip, line it up, put it in position, press it on all the way, especially in the center. That's where it locks in. And there we have it. Do the same on the other side. Have your 2 bolts ready. Line the bracket up and thread these on. Snug these 2 bolts down. The torque for them will be 80 foot-pounds. Now we have to lubricate the slider pins. They don't come completely pre-greased, just enough for them to not corrode. As you can see, there is a little bit on the end. What I will do though is take that same silicone paste I just used, stick it inside the boot. This is going to get inside the folds of the boot and act as a reserve of grease as the brakes operate to keep these slider pins well lubricated and keep them sliding smoothly. Put the rest that's on your brush directly on the slider pin, and put some right in this lower ridge here where the slider pin boot seals up. Just give this a nice thin coating. The rest of it will work its way through. Slide the slider pin in. There will be air trapped in there, but what you want to do is push it. As you can see, the air just went inside the boot. Squish the boot, press the pin in. Repeat this as many times as it takes to get all the air out. Work this back and forth. Make sure it slides smoothly, and do the same on the other slider pin. Now we're ready to transfer the pads in, and all you need to do for that is just push them inward from the old caliper, and they should pop right out. This applies to both inner and outer pads. The inner pad is the one that has the wear indicator. It's going to sit on the top. Slide it in, and the outer pad gets no wear indicator. Make sure these are not stuck and slide smoothly. They should. Take the new caliper, slide it over the pads and over the bracket, line it up with the slider pins, have the bolts ready. Start these in. With these bottomed out, the torque for them is 37 foot-pounds. If your slider pins are spinning, use a 19mm wrench and hold on to them just like this. Remove the new banjo bolt from this new caliper. What I'm going to do now is, just so I can be a step ahead, I'm going to remove the bleeder screw cap. Then with a 10mm wrench, I'm going to open up this bleeder screw so that as soon as I connect the hose, it's going to start gravity bleeding. With a 14mm, remove the old banjo bolt off of the old caliper. Have a collection bucket ready to catch all this drippage. Remove the old banjo bolt and make sure no copper washers got stuck on the hose. That is not the case for me, so we're good to go. Take the new banjo bolt with 1 new copper washer, slide it through. And on the other side, put another new washer. Stick the hose in and make sure that this piece of the hose where it has a little line goes through that cutout so it can line up correctly. Thread it on by hand so it doesn't cross thread. This new bolt is a 12mm. Snug it up. Torque this banjo bolt to 26 foot-pounds. There we go. You're just looking to crush those two copper washers so it can make a nice tight seal. Now let's wait for the gravity bleed to be done. There we go, the gravity bleed is complete. There is fluid dripping out of the bleeder screw. At this point, you can close this off. Now you may still need to perform a full manual brake bleed on this, and you will see how to do this at the end of the video, but the gravity bleed should get you all the air out. Snug this up, clean any drippage with brake parts cleaner. This will help you spot any leaks if there were any. Cap this off. Now pump up the brake pedal. Let's top off the master cylinder. Let's get the wheel on. Start on all 5 lug nuts, bottom them out in a cross pattern, and also in a cross pattern we're going to torque them to 79 foot-pounds. Double check them. And take it for a road test. Under the hood, you'll find the brake master cylinder located on the driver's side, right next to the strut tower. Mine is somewhat dirty, so I'm going to take a rag and just clean around it. That way when I remove the cap, the dirt doesn't fall into the master cylinder, but rather goes to the side of it. That's plenty clean. Turn it counterclockwise and pull it off. Now if you read the cap closely, it'll say that it requires .3 or .4 brake fluid. So make sure you have plenty on hand to do this job. And at this point, I like to start by removing the fluid that's in the reservoir so I can start with fresh fluid from the beginning. There's a little screen here that has to be removed. And I have a vacuum pump that's able to suck all the brake fluid out of the reservoir. So I'm going to stick the hose all the way down in here and remove the fluid. All right, I got all my fluid out. Put the little screen back in. Now let's fill this up with brake fluid up to the full line, which is basically right below the cap right here. Okay, that's full, so let's reinstall the cap. Make sure that's sealed up properly. The sequence for bleeding these brakes is actually a clockwise pattern starting at the driver's front wheel. So you're gonna go left front, right rear, left rear. That's how you're going to bleed the calipers. And in between each axle, so after you do the front, you're going to top off the master cylinder. And then again, after you do the rear, you're going to top off the master cylinder again to keep it nice and full. At the end, if you think your brake pedal feels too soft and that there's still air trapped in the system, bleed again in the same sequence, and that should get all the air right out. I have an assistant in the vehicle ready to pump up that brake pedal, and to start, I'm going to take the bleeder screw cap off. I have this receptacle with a hose on it so I can make less of a mess. I'm going to put that on the bleeder screw and use a 10mm wrench to crack it open after they pump up the brake pedal a few times and then hold pressure on it so the brake fluid can be pushed out. Go ahead and pump.
Holding.
Okay, holding, so I'm going to open this up. There we go. That reached the floor, so I'm going to close it back off, and then they're going to go and pump again.
Holding.
All right, open it back up. We're going to do this until we have no more air bubbles coming out. Go ahead and pump again.
Holding.
Perfect. We got 2 clean bleeds in a row. Let's do it one last time, just for safe measure. Go ahead and pump.
Holding.
Perfect. Okay, you can go ahead and let off the brake now. I'll remove my hose. If anything dripped, go ahead and clean it off with some brake parts cleaner. And wipe it off with a rag. Then go ahead and cap this off so dirt and debris don't get in there and clog it up. Now we're going to do the same exact thing on the right front. And then we're going to top off that master cylinder and move to the rear. Let's top off the master cylinder. All right, we're now at the right rear caliper. We have topped off the master cylinder, so I'm going to take the bleeder screw cap off. Get the same little hose attached to this. With that same 10mm wrench is what I'm going to use to open up the bleeder screw. Go ahead and pump.
Holding.
Okay, holding pressure. Open this up. All right, we got air in this one. Go ahead and pump again.
Holding.
Okay. That's looking better. Go ahead and pump again.
Holding.
Okay. This one was clean. Let's do it again.
Holding.
Perfect. You can let go now. We have no air bubbles. Nice clean fluid came through. So at this point, we're going to clean this area off. Use some brake parts cleaner. Wipe it down. Cap it off. We're going to move to the left rear and do the same exact thing over there. Let's top off the master cylinder one last time. Make sure it's nice and full with fresh fluid. Now our job is done, but if your pedal doesn't feel right, go through the same sequence again until you feel it nice and firm with the engine off and you have no air coming out of the bleeder screws. Once you're done and you're happy, put the wheels back on. The torque for these is 79 foot-pounds in a cross pattern. Take it for a road test.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.